I recently reviewed the Dell Latitude 5480, a blast from the past that packs mobility and convenience in an extremely affordable package. But if you have more scratch and want something less ancient, is the Latitude's younger sibling still a good buy? Let's find out.
Slap Tech.
This then is the Dell Latitude 7420. It's the version from last year, and I found this $1,000 laptop used for $600. This particular example houses the Intel Core i7-1185 G7 CPU with 4 cores, 8 threads that clocks 12 megs of cache, up to 4.8 GHz. Don't call it an APU, but it also has the Intel Iris Xe GPU on board with a maximum spec of 96 execution units. Alongside it is 16 gigs of LPDDR4X memory and a 512 gig NVMe SSD. These bits sit underneath a 14-inch 1080p IPS display, are powered by a 63 WHr battery, and the total package weighs less than 3 pounds. All that sounds an awful lot like an Intel Evo certified device, but the 7420 isn't an Evo laptop because it doesn't have a touchscreen and might fall a hair short of the battery life requirement. I gotta give some props to Dell for not compromising with a glossy touchscreen for the Evo certification. It's flipping the bird to the man and boldly proclaiming, I'm gonna make a laptop that people actually want to use, and I don't need you to tell me how to do it. I don't give them mad props for doing it because they do have Evo certified 2-in-1s, but I like that they kept the Latitude line pure. The 7420 comes with a 65-watt AC adapter that has a 9-foot cable, which can be extended to 12 feet with an aftermarket from the wall cord. That's 2 of me, about as long as can be found. It plugs in via Thunderbolt, which means that a mobile power bank can minimize any kind of range anxiety. Not that range anxiety should be an issue, what with 6.5 hours of internet work use from this 1-year-old battery. Streaming video will drain it in 5, and Valheim will stay up for 1.5 hours. If a long battery life is a must-have, this laptop might not stay on as long as competitors, but it still manages to deliver. The overall build quality of the Latitude 7420 doesn't impress and slightly disappoints. The base of the notebook around the keyboard will cave in rather easily with little force, and the screen wobbles a little bit when typing on your lap. For a laptop that was originally priced as high as it was, I'm starting to wonder why it's so expensive. On the positive side, the hinges don't creak at all, and the screen itself is rather sturdy. On the quirky side of things, I'm having trouble getting over the plastic material for the palm rest and around the keyboard. You can easily scratch it with your fingernail, then buff it out with a cleaning cloth. A side effect of this is that it always looks a little stained and is impossible to make it look perfect. At least the top cover is awesome. I love the carbon fiber-ish holographic pattern. It's smooth to the touch and responds well to a quick wipe down. Let's see what all those holes in the side do. On the right we have the micro SD card reader, a SIM card slot underneath that, a Thunderbolt 4 port next to it, USB 3.0 Type-A that can charge your device, HDMI, and some sort of lock slot. On the back we get what looks like an exhaust but is actually just an empty air chamber on the inside, and on the left is the Thunderbolt 4 port that will charge the laptop, the vent, and a headset in. 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports is great and really all you need, but thrown into the mix anyway is an HDMI port and USB Type-A, which is absolutely wonderful, and I'll take it. Keep in mind that a desktop setup will still require a Bluetooth something or other, or a hub something or other. 8 captive screws are all that holds on the bottom cover. The inside of the Latitude 7420 reveals not much. The 63 WHr battery takes up most of the internal real estate, and there's no access to the memory. 16 gigs is all there is for the life of the laptop. The NVMe SSD can be swapped out for a larger one, and there is a WHAN slot for a 4G modem, but the rumor is that it doesn't support an M.2 storage drive, unlike older Latitude models like the 5480 I recently reviewed. Have no fear, I will make a video detailing how to upgrade the NVMe SSD in this laptop in the near future. 2 copper heat pipes direct high temperatures towards the single fan, and it really is an empty air chamber behind the rear collection of holes. Alrighty then. The keyboard is about the best the brand can offer. In typical Dell fashion, the keys are more stubborn than average and require a firm press to actuate. At least I can feel when a stroke has been missed, and it's been reliable in that sense. Overall, the typing experience is pleasant and hotkeys are well placed, namely Home and End are F11 and 12 respectively, and the page scrolling keys are secondary functions of up and down, as it all should be on a 14-inch laptop. The keys are backlit in white with a subtle blue tint, and the two levels of brightness are distinct and noticeably different. The keys might be a little clicky, but good luck annoying your neighbors at the library as the volume is still rather muted. The touchpad isn't dreadful, but it doesn't have physical keys like older Latitudes. Admittedly, no physical keys isn't that big of an issue in most cases, but here, right-click is total guesswork. The absolute bottom right corner isn't a guaranteed right-click, and I only get a successful right-click about 50% of the time. At least it doesn't get in the way while I'm typing, and the acceleration is predictable, so accuracy is not a concern. Also of no concern is the display. 1080p, 300 nits matte surface, and wide viewing angles. Sure, the colors aren't accurate and would be better described as dull rather than poppy, but the gradients are good and it goes 3 ticks over comfortably bright and dim enough for a pitch black room. The brightness fades at a close angle, but adjusting it is super easy and barely an inconvenience because it tilts back 180 degrees. And even though the lowest quality high refresh rate panels have a leg up on ghosting, this is adequate for 2D retro games and is a slight improvement over older Latitudes. While the monitor doesn't impress, the speakers absolutely won't let you down. They are, in fact, quite fun. The bass might be underrepresented compared to the mids and highs, but in the grand scheme of things, the balance is very well done, and the volume is definitely up there and will fill a room. There's no software trickery needed to pull bass tones into the treble range, so the EQ is perfectly flat, and loud noises won't quell softer tones. The bass line from Calm Like a Bomb by Rage Against the Machine, I think I've picked on that poor band long enough, is present and accounted for, and the deep bass from The Package by A Perfect Circle is clear with distinguishable notes. These sound blasters are good enough for everybody, and headphones are not required.
It's another night at the Motel 6. It's $5 extra to get the pilot I concocted back in bed. Not Randy Snifter. I'm a kleptomaniac, a bar shoplifter. Cash flow getting low, so I had to pull a job. Found a nice place to visit. Found a better place to rob. Left my car outside with the engine still revving. Taking care of business at 7 and then I went inside to make my withdrawal. I got what it had, but I had to take it all.
A test of the webcam. 720p picture is especially grainy. I have LED lights on all around me, and the color compensation is not half bad. Of course, the colors themselves are very dull, but at least my face isn't overexposed. Webcam in poor lighting. I have one lonely LED light on over there. Also, my super loud AC unit is currently running, so I'm going to lower the tone of my voice to see if you can still understand what I'm saying. I think the noise cancellation of this webcam is pretty good. Not the best I've seen before, but also far from the worst.
When doing normal PC person things, the system performance of the Latitude 7420 is perfectly fine. YouTube videos don't stutter in battery saver mode, and web browsing is as punchy as ever. It's only when doing things that cool people do, like running benchmarks, is where the ultra-low voltage CPU falls dramatically short of its relatives. I would hazard a guess that this will suit low-effort PC tasks just fine, like audio recording, simple coding, or 1080p vacation footage compiling. Anything beyond that is a big ask. In other news, when not being pushed to the limit, this Latitude plays it cool all the time with very little, if any, fan noise. Even when asked to do something, it remains unobtrusive 100% of the time and is very cautious about giving the single fan something to do. It takes its sweet time to wind down after, say, gaming, but it does wind down eventually, and no surfaces ever heat up to uncomfortable levels. On to gaming. This Latitude wasn't made for gaming, but it does have one of Intel's strongest integrated GPUs on the market, Iris Xe, so it can play games if asked nicely. Don't expect great performance or even good performance in modern titles. Witcher 3 will have to be toned down to just 900p in low details with a 30 FPS limit for the best possible experience. Shadow of the Tomb Raider is at least better than a slideshow at 720p at the lowest details preset. Forza Horizon 5 actually does play pretty well in 720p in low details, and it makes the virtue signaling fake limbs look like blurry, normal-sized tattooed limbs, which is a big plus. Older games fare better but still need reductions in eye candy, like here in Diablo 3 where the texture settings should be at low for when the magic missiles hit the fan. And casual titles like Overcooked 2 play pretty well in 1080p high details on most stages. I know you're hoping that the best of Iris Xe graphics will be able to handle your retro library, and for the most part it does pass the test. The most powerful consoles, like the GameCube and 3DS, are awful fond of stuttering and slurred audio thanks to the lack of dedicated VRAM and scarcity of raw CPU horsepower. Even NDS games should be relegated to native res for the best possible experience. Older generations, though, work just fine with upscaled pixel counts and shaders galore, especially given the reduced ghosting. I wouldn't call the blurriness good, but it's certainly better than just livable. For the bottom line, who would best benefit from using this as a daily driver? Well, who the hell wouldn't? It's extremely portable, it's affordable, you can do all your PCing on it, and it just works while staying out of its way as far as heat and noise are concerned. It can't be beat in its price point if you're shopping used, and the only step up in the 14-inch segment is the Asus G14, which will definitely do all the things, including play games, but also commands a much higher asking price. Can this little thing replace my daily driver, the MSI GE66 Raider? Kind of. Thanks to this, the GE66 will never see the outside of my dingy office ever again, as the Latitude will always serve me well for any mobile PC use. And the 7420 may actually replace my desktop, which has become nothing more than an over-glorified media machine as of late, and that has a Ryzen 9 3900X and GTX 1070. That's right, I may be entering a second desktopless time in my life, after 8 years of having a stationary tower PC. We shall see. In conclusion, students get 2 thumbs up, 2 big toes up, and one hell of a cheeky grin. It has all the battery life you need, contains 0 extra calories, excellent peripherals, and will let you hang on to way more of your hard-earned quid than anything from Apple. Don't hesitate, just go right ahead and buy it. Casual gamers can get a lot out of this. It's down on power and is priced competitively with lesser-equipped gaming laptops, but makes up for it with far superior battery life, a good keyboard, touchpad, and display, and the gaming performance is useful. They say it's more fun to drive a slow car fast than a fast car slow. Well, it's better to have a laptop that can comfortably do anything than use a hulk of a laptop that sucks to PC with. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Competitive gamers can suck it. You don't like having nice things anyway. The relentless onslaught of life that demands you be flexible and change with the tide rains down upon thy husk like arrows fired from 1,000 archers, and you will game in the shade. At least I don't mind the shade because the GE66 has pretty lights. Home users, if one of these isn't the main PC in your life, don't feel bad. No one ever told you about it until now. Just like how no one told me that those little white sleeping pills my Uncle Gavin took weren't actually so he could sleep. I always wondered why he took them at 9 in the morning and then disappeared until noon the next day. And he always reappeared with a woman he'd always call Aunt Blair. Sometimes Aunt Blair was thin, sometimes obese, dark-haired, blonde, Asian. One time he came back with Rachel Maddow before he was a she. This has been a review of the Dell Latitude 7420 here on Slap Tech. Leave a like, drop a comment down below, ask me anything about this laptop, that notebook, life in general, what's my favorite cereal, Raisin Bread, damn it! I'm supposed to make you ask so that you can help drive the algorithm. Oh well, ask me anyway, and maybe I'll say something different in the comments below. Don't expect any laptop reviews in the near future. I had to buy a car in early 2023, and my fundage supply has gone dry. Expect more Game Train stuff in the coming months. Anyway, thanks for watching, and you guys, have a good night.